Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, May 30th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. What are we hearing about Julian Sayin? What are they saying about Sayin? What do we think about Julian Sayin? Do we think Lincoln Kienholz is going to push him for the job during camp? We're going to talk about Julian Sayin to lead off the show with Jay Book. We're going to get into some special teams chatter. Is Caleb Downs going to be the primary punt returner this year? They're just going to use him sparingly like they did last year. Brandon Ennis back there, punt returner as well. Who's going to be the primary kickoff returner? Is there a pretty good battle at kicker shaping up? Sure looks like it. They brought in the Ball State transfer young man from Centerville, Jackson Corville. He's going to give Jaden Fielding a run for his money, so we're going to delve into all that. And how about the SEC yesterday? Shedding some tears, some proverbial tears out there. So we're going to get into all that. Before we do that, I want to let you know about our friends over at Timeline. These Might Appear tablets are awesome, and we can get you guys a great deal. I should have had the ad read ready. Not a good move on my part there, but I don't have it ready right now. Good live podcasting here. But Might Appear tablets are fantastic, and like I said, we're gonna get you guys a good deal as soon as I can get the copy up here. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. Timeline's Might Appear supplements, that's what these are the best supplements for healthy aging. I've now been using them for over 2 months, and I can definitely tell a difference. So why can I tell a difference, and why do I like them so much? Well, I feel stronger during my workouts. I recover quicker after my workouts. I have more energy, period. And I want to support my cellular health. Speaking of which, cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. These Might Appear tablets from Timeline recharge your cells and support any goals you have by making your systems work better. And here's the deal I can get you. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of Might Appear. Go to timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. That's timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. All right, let's bring in my friend Jay Book. Man, where is Jay Book located right now, do you think? Where do you think Jay Book's at? Where are you
What's
at,
up,
my friend?
I'm in Pacific Beach in San Diego.
Heck yeah. Living it up, man. I love it. And taking the time to do the morning 5 on a Friday. You're one of one, my friend. So Julian Sayin, what are you hearing from people you talk to? What do you think about the whole situation? Let's just delve into Julian Sayin to kick off the show.
I think he's going to be the guy. I have a lot of confidence. What you've been seeing and hearing over the off season, those are all positive traits. One, obviously, you have to mention the growth spurt. Two, he's been getting a lot bigger, and I thought it was great that he was able to bring pretty much all of the skill position players as well as Lincoln Kienholz out to California and throw with him. That right there is showing leadership skills. This is something that I believe we had in the boarding house a couple weeks ago. Is still Cali cool type of personality, but is working diligently with his leadership skills. That's one thing that Ryan Day is extremely big on. He talks about it anytime that he can regarding the quarterback position, how important leadership is. That's something that he's working on. But the talent is there, Dave. He's a quarterback that's walking into a situation to where if he can just play within himself, he's going to do just fine, because there's not a quarterback in all of college football with the weapons that he currently has at his disposal.
I noticed, there was a picture of Julian Sayin at the Memorial the other day. It was when they had the program when Coach Day was out there playing with Nick Saban. And for people to think that these guys don't that they might not like each other, it's a lot like last year with Will Howard and Devin Brown. Those guys were friends.
Yeah.
So the picture of Julian Sayin, right next to him is Lincoln Kienholz at the Memorial. Right next to them, they're with Carnell Tate, and they're with two of the starting offensive linemen. They're with Austin Sareveld and Luke Montgomery. So those 5 guys were hanging out. So it's cool that I'm just really glad we have Lincoln. I agree with everything you said about Julian. I think he's going to be a good quarterback this year, and I think eventually he's going to be really good. Hopefully he'll be really good this year.
Yeah.
My question is when, but I'm really glad Buckeyes have Lincoln as well. I think he could get the job done if need be.
Yeah, I mean Lincoln had a very good spring. He pushed Julian Sayin, and if you're to take Coach Day at his word and don't look at it as far as like he's just hyping up Lincoln Keyhoes, he said that Lincoln has some really good practices. The biggest thing for those guys is they're young, not a lot of experience, so being consistent is going to be big for them. You're going to have your down moments, but you can't let those down moments overtake you. You got to be able to have a short memory, bounce back. You're going to make mistakes, that's okay. But at the end of the ball game, you want to be able to look back and say, "Hey, this guy made more plays than the other quarterbacks on the field." And that should be the case, especially when you're at Ohio State and you look at when you have a 99 overall rated college football player in Jeremiah Smith on your roster.
What did they say he began? Well, didn't his rating begin at like 84 last year or something on the game? Of course, he was a true freshman.
Yeah,
He
right.
began like an 84. Now he's got like a perfect rating. So as he should.
No, it's funny because when that game comes out, last year everybody was like, if you use Ohio State, you're cheating because when you had the running backs with Judkins, because Judkins' spin move was out of this world, like you couldn't stop it, and so people used to say online, you're going out soft using Ohio State. Now it's going to be the same story because if you're using Ohio State using Jeremiah Smith, just throw it up there to him. He's going to go get it.
All right, let's move on. So SEC yesterday, they were shedding some tears. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Tell the good people about that.
Oh, their SEC had a kind of their was it a media day or just kind of like their had a lot of press there talking to these guys
Their
and
spring meet, they do their spring meetings in Destin, Florida every year. Yeah,
yeah. So they
yeah.
had their spring meeting. I mean, these guys are crashing out about the Big Ten going back to back national champions. Big Ten having four teams in the playoffs and the SEC only three. I mean, these guys literally came out with a PowerPoint to try to justify why Alabama, South Carolina should have been in the playoffs, even though Alabama lost to like a 6-win Oklahoma team, lost to Vanderbilt. It's like, hey man, I don't need to see 11-page PowerPoints. Just go and win your game. And so all of the whining and crying, and so the SEC commissioners so upset about the way that the playoff committee selected last year that he's wanting to change the rules, and that's the SEC. They're crying, they're complaining because they're no longer on top. And I said it yesterday, Dave, regarding the SEC. The days of them hoarding talent is over because of NIL and the transfer portal era. The Big Ten has caught them, passed them up. If you look at the results, the Big Ten went 5-1 against them head to head on the field last year. If I was running back who got drafted by the Steelers would have played against Missouri, the Big Ten most likely would have went 6-0 on the field head to head against the SEC. And then you pair that with the fact that these guys don't understand there is so much more money in the Big Ten territory as far as the schools than there are in the SEC. The Texas schools, yeah, they got some money with the oil money, and Arkansas with Walmart. But when's the last time Arkansas been good? When Darren McFadden was there, that's the last time they've been any type of relevant in college football. But overall, the Big Ten has so much more money than the SEC. I mean, look at Alabama, premier program. Their athletic director in December was begging their fans to donate $5. I mean, Alabama's willing to do car washes just to raise NIL money. that's how that's how skimpy the pockets are down south. Like you got a premier program in Bama, and the athletic director is like, please, anything, $5 will help. We're getting we're getting lapped when it comes to the NIL arms race.
Yeah, there's a lot more money in like Columbus, Ohio, for example, than Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I mean, that's no secret, right? And we're seeing
Right.
that play out. And just all of Buckeye Nation, obviously, compared to all of Bama Nation or whatever they call it. Like, yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of money
Yeah.
in Buckeye Nation. Michigan, I hate to say it, Michigan's got a lot of money. We got the guy that owns the Oracle giving them like a bunch of money, and he's like one of the richest guys in the entire world.
Right.
Yeah, a lot more money in Big Ten country than the Deep South. A lot more.
I mean, you look at Indiana, even Indiana with their roster. Indiana was had a bigger NIL pot than a lot of those mid-tier teams in the SEC. I mean, what's going on? You look at Jaden Rashada. He's suing Florida because Florida didn't have the money. Georgia people are saying that Georgia has money. However, Georgia is not necessarily dominating and gathering all the players like they used to because they're having to choose wisely. You cannot no longer in the SEC. You cannot have a situation to where you're three deep and guys who are 4 and 5 star players just going to wait for several years. Like you can no longer have that. So now you're starting to see a lot of that talent is being dispersed all across the country. And that right there is impacting the SEC. The days of the McDonald's bags, the bag man stories that we all know from way back in the days, those were the days when the SEC was dominating. You can no longer look at the situation now and say, hey, you you can't have 5 running backs that are all 5 stars. I remember that time when Georgia had, was it like Nick Chubb, Sony Michelle,
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, like all of those guys like were just on their roster back in the days. You can't have that anymore because guys are going to go want to play. They want to get paid. I mean, if you're Nick Chubb and you're the third string running back at Georgia, he can easily go to the Big Ten and get $1 million.
That's why I'm still shocked that last year happened with Q coming up here and Trey being okay with it. And it worked
Yeah,
out beautifully for all parties. It worked out great for them personally because they were able to stay fresh. They won a national championship. They became friends. They were
right.
very productive. Were both early second round picks, and everything worked out. But I'm still surprised that Ohio State. No, it's not exactly what you're talking about. That's not having like they didn't have like 4 Quinshons and Treys. But man, in
Yeah.
this day and age, to have 2 stud running backs like that, that's pretty rare.
I do think culture will play a huge part in being able to manage that because that's a testament to Ryan Day's culture and at Ohio State because I know that when we're looking at recruiting we do get frustrated to say, hey, why aren't we landing XYZ players, but Ohio State has really set the precedent to say we're willing to pay guys, but get into the program first. That's the one thing that Ohio State does really well. They're going to take care of their own guys. I mean, they're the only team in college football that didn't lose a single scholarship player in the spring transfer portal. And so you look at that and people are going to ask why. And it's one, because of Ryan Day's culture that he's built. And two, once you actually join the program, they're going to make sure that they take care of those boys.
Very well said. Jay Book and I are going to delve into special teams in a moment. What can we expect from Ohio State special teams this year? Before we do that, let you guys know about our friends over at Huel. Great product here. I love it. The Huel Black Edition, that's what this is. Ready to drink is a meal in a bottle. Yeah, a meal that you drink. One bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and it's low in sugar. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal. It's designed by nutrition experts. It takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's a great product, and we have a great deal for you guys. New customers visit Huel.com/Bucknuts. Use our code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Huel is amazingly convenient. No prep, no hassle. Just grab it and open. It's cheaper than a coffee, and it tastes really good. It tastes good. This is the vanilla flavor. They have chocolate, raspberry, strawberry, banana. I would not be endorsing it if it didn't taste good. New customers, visit Huel.com/Bucknuts today. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Again, Huel.com/Bucknuts. Use the code Bucknuts to get 15% off plus a free gift. All right, special teams. At least the Buckeyes got the monkey off their back last year. For the first time in 10 years, they returned either a punt or a kick for a touchdown. It was a punt. It was Caleb Downs. The last person to do it was Jalen Marshall, also during a national championship season. What do you think they're going to do at punt return? Let's start with that. You think it's going to be Caleb Downs that's kind of mixed in here and there, and Brandon Ennis is going to be the main guy? Do you think anybody else might be in the mix? Like, what do you expect at punt returner?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be those two guys. I think Caleb Downs are going to have his opportunity to get their hands on the ball. We saw what he did against Indiana. If he can get that crease, he's electric. But Brandon Ennis, I think he's going to be heavily involved as well. And I think it's going to be those two, Dave. The one thing that we're going to see, and people aren't going to freak out. Remember last year during open media session, they had like Jeremiah Smith back there returning punts, and
Yeah,
they had a bunch of people, and everybody's like freaking out, like what's going on? And
right.
basically, they kind of explained like, hey, this right here kind of helps with tracking the ball and ball skills for guys. So they were back there giving them reps. That doesn't necessarily mean those are going to be your punt returners. So when you guys head over to practice and people start hearing names back there returning punts, don't freak out. But I do think it's going to be those two, Caleb Downs and Brandon Ennis.
And are you in the camp where like me, like I want to see Caleb Downs back there a lot, unless Brandon just
Yeah.
takes, because Brandon wasn't that explosive in the role last year, but was close a couple of times. But now he's trimmed down, he's quicker, he's stronger. So maybe Brandon will just take that job and run with it. But some people are like, I don't want Caleb back there because we don't want to get him hurt. I get that, but man, I'd like to see him back there more than he was back there last year.
I'm all for it. I don't worry about that, Dave, because I grew up watching the football when Charles Woodson, even though he's a Michigan guy, he was electric back there returning kicks. And then you look at Ohio State back in the days when we had Chris Gamble, when we had our two-way player, Chris Gamble was electric. Teddy Ginn was back there returning kicks and stuff, and how electric he was. So I'm like, hey, if Downs can help flip the field, I'm all for it.
Yeah, you can get hurt playing safety. Like there's probably maybe I don't know if it's a higher percentage than you would making a tackle than trying to return a punt. You probably has a higher percentage chance that you're going to get hurt as a punt returner than making a tackle as a safety. But still, you can get hurt on any play in football, as we all know.
I mean, Reggie Bush returned kicks. He was doing punt returns, and he was one of the best college running backs to ever come through. And Pete Carroll never wore about that. Hey, Caleb Downs. At one point we were talking about he wanted running back carries last year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna say, hey, you want a running back carries. You're getting reps of running back to where we're now at the point to we're afraid to let you get a couple punt returns. Like, let him go back there and flip the field, especially if it's a big game, Dave, because that's critical. If you can flip the field in a big game because of his dynamic ability, let him go and do it.
And kickoffs, they've kind of taken kickoffs somewhat out of the college game, but not completely. It's still important. And I'd like to see Mylan Graham back there as the primary kickoff returner. I don't know if – okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep, you're right. Spot on. Mylan Graham. That's the guy who I think back there on the kickoff return, I think he can do some damage back there. I have one for you, Dave. He's not on campus yet.
Oh, Turbo
Rogers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, when you got a kid whose name is Turbo,
using running backs. They like using. I know he's going to be more of like a hybrid, but like they like using running backs back there. Yeah, Mylan Graham and Turbo Rogers. Give me those guys.
Right. So if you got a kid who is dynamic and he's coming up here with the nickname Turbo, then hey, let that kid go back there and return some kicks and see if he can break something.
And it looks like we got a nice little battle at kicker. And I'm going to get to the coverage units in a moment. So I think it's awesome that Nate Ebner is here, leading up those coverage units. Those guys are going to be playing with their hair on fire. But kicker, it's very interesting. I thought maybe Jaden Fielding got back in the good graces. He had a good postseason after I don't know what happened a couple times during the regular season. He had the one game where he kicked the ball like in the stands like 3 times on kickoffs. He had the Michigan game where he's missing like chip shots. But then he kicked well in the playoffs. So I did not expect them to get a guy in the portal to push him, but they certainly did. This young man he was at Ball State the last 2 years. He's from Centerville. Jackson Corville. Last time Buckeyes had a kicker from Centerville, worked out pretty well with Mike Nugent. But this looks like it's going to be a good battle. This kid was a good kicker last couple years at Ball State. And Jaden Fielding coming off a good postseason, like I said. So good little battle at kicker there.
Yeah, and I think it's much needed. I thought it was very smart and a very underrated move to get another kicker out of the transfer portal. Even though Fielding performed well in the playoffs and down the stretch, I still can't shake what happened against Michigan, man. And I still have the mind frame of you can never have enough quality kickers on the roster, because he was saying that he was hurt or something like that, to the point to where it really impacted his game, like his kicking game. So if that's a situation and we didn't have a viable backup to throw in, and you're trotting that kid out there who's hurt and it potentially cost you the Michigan game because he couldn't even hit a chip shot, that right there is not only on the coaches saying, hey, we don't have enough depth, but if that kid wasn't being truthful about where his injury was at, because I think the time that he kicked like 3 balls out of the or kickoff, when he kicked them out and everybody in the crowd starts booing him and stuff. I I guess later on that week, come to find out like he was hurt, but never told the coaches or something like that. So he wasn't even truthful to the coaches. So I just think that between the two of them, between the coaches and the kicker not being on the same page here, bringing in another kicker here would do wonders, because now you can say, hey, kid, go get some rest. Go see a trainer, heal up, and then when you come back, we'll reevaluate you at that point. Now you got a kid who's what, 100%. I think it was like 100% from 50 plus yards or something like that. So you bring him into the fold. You have to feel a little bit better about those long range field goals that at some point, Dave, and I'm not going to lie, anytime the kicker lined up and it was over 35 yards, I just had to walk away because I didn't know. It was almost like a coin flip. You didn't know if the kicker was going to make it or not. And you're watching college football everywhere else, and kids are just booming it through the uprights with no problem. At Ohio State, you're just like, I don't know, man. I'm not willing to bet the house that he'll make this kick.
No, I mean, I just love everything Ryan Day is doing. He's leaving no stone unturned. Again, the kicker, that's one of many examples. How about bringing in Nate Ebner as to help with special teams? I mean, this is awesome. These guys are going to be playing with their hair on fire at all times. That's the only way he knows how to play. How cool is it to get Nate Ebner back here as the special teams coach? Really an analyst, I should say. Oh, I think J-Book might have froze up for us there. It's hard to freeze up in San Diego, but J-Book getting up early. On the West Coast, joining us despite being on vacation. That's the type of guy he is. Oh, you with me?
I'm with you now.
Okay, cool. You just froze up just for a second there. Bringing Nate Ebner back. I mean, how cool is that? A guy with like NFL, didn't even play high school football, from right here in Hilliard, played rugby, and then joins the Ohio State football team, becomes like a mainstay on special teams, and goes and plays with the Patriots, wins Super Bowls. Bringing Nate Ebner back here, are you kidding me? It's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's great. Great hire by Ryan Day, bringing Nate Ebner in here. As you mentioned, the guy who played a lot of ball in the NFL on the special teams, cutting his teeth there. I mean, it's very rare, Dave, that you can find a college player who never really played like meaningful snaps, but have a long-standing career in the NFL. When I mean meaningful snaps, I mean offense or defense. But he was so good on special teams and had that grind and grit that he had. How many years did he play? Was it? I mean, it was up there, almost
Yeah,
10.
I think 7 maybe.
Yeah,
Right up there. Might have been more than that. Here, we're a Google search away. Yeah,
because
I
it's
mean,
it's never really heard of.
it really is crazy. So let's see. He played longer than I thought. So let's say he played 9 years. I forgot he played with the Giants as well. He played from 2012 to 2019. He played with the Patriots. And then
Yeah,
2020 and 2021, he played for the Giants. 3-time Super Bowl champion. He also was a second team All Pro.
that's
Second team All
crazy.
Pro in 2016. Second. Unbelievable. I know.
He had 105 tackles in the NFL on special teams. Like that's like when you take a step back and think about it, Dave. That's pretty mind blowing that you can play 9 years in NFL. Like he's vested now, so he'll be able to draw NFL pension just off special teams. I mean, that's another thing too. Like if you got a guy with that much credibility, um, and he goes and tell these kids like, "Hey, I made it to the NFL just off special teams alone." Like there can be some buy-in from a lot of kids who may not be able to crack that too deep on offense or defense, but say, "Hey, let me get a swing of the bat on special teams." I think it's great. I hopefully bring some new concepts to the table. But the biggest thing is keep elevating, because as we continue to expand this playoff, the margins are only going to get thinner. You're going to have a situation where players go down because the schedule's getting longer. And if you can have a rock solid special teams day, that could be the difference of being a national champion or someone who goes home in the semifinals.
And I don't want to not talk about punter. We had somebody mention Nick McLarty. They're wonder how much he's improved. He, of course, redshirted last year. Both punters are from Australia. Joe McGuire returns as the starter. He was okay as a redshirt freshman. He was consistent. He just doesn't have that big of a leg, but maybe he's gotten a stronger leg. So we'll see what happens at punter there. Nick McLarty's got a huge leg, but he wasn't very consistent in practice.
Legatron, Dave. You remember we called him Legatron? Like, the dude had the highlights of booting the ball out the stadium down in Australia. I mean, at some point they got to be able to hone this kid in. Like, if you're a punter, like, hey man, just go over there and just punt all day. Have somebody shagging balls so that you can just go punt and work on being able to pin the ball inside the 10 instead of booting the ball into the lights inside the facility there. But hopefully they give this kid an opportunity, man. I mean, was he 6'6" walking off the bus there?
6'7", and he's every bit of that too. I remember when I was over there, because it was last spring he was on his visit, and I was like, who is this offensive lineman that's over here? You can tell he was a recruit. He looked like an offensive lineman that needed to put on weight. Excuse me, getting a little choked up talking about
it. But yeah, hopefully he can compete, because I mean the punting wasn't awesome last year either. I mean, there was times where the punter was averaging like 30 yards or something like that, and they will punt and the ball just kind of just died. The punting wasn't great last year, and that's the same thing like we talked about flipping the field with Caleb Downs as the punt returner. Like, punters have a job there too, to be able to pin them, because if you can pin them there and you get them with a 3 and out there, your offense has the opportunity to get the ball back at midfield. And you didn't see a lot of punts last year that you was like, ooh, pinned him, or this punter, he's hot today or something like that. You didn't see that.
Yeah, maybe now that McLarty's been here a year, maybe he'll take the job and run with it. We'll see. Let's get to a question from Jim Jackson on YouTube. It says, love y'all. Appreciate that. He says, love y'all, Jonah and Dave. What is up with D-line recruiting? J-Book, what is up with D-line recruiting?
Right now, Larry Johnson is fighting and scratching and clawing to get some guys in here. I do think that they've said that they feel comfortable with where they're at. Obviously, you will want some commits in the fold right now, but this is the fun season, because now you're starting to enter into official visits. This is the time for Larry Johnson to get these kids as well as their families on campus. This is where Larry Johnson kind of makes his hay, Dave. Having that ability to build one-on-one relationships and earning that trust from the family. So get these kids on campus. Hopefully they come out of this summer, Dave, with 2, maybe 3 commits on the defensive line. At that point, if we start getting into August and we're still sitting at a goose egg with the defensive linemen as far as commitments, that's when I'll start to get a little bit worried. But you're on the edge of the seat, because you're already behind a little bit. But you also have to keep in mind that they got a lot of guys that's going to be walking through those doors in the next several weeks for visits.
Last thing before you head out to the beach. Again, I appreciate you doing this when you're on vacation. You're the man. I was holding out hope. I was talking about on Wednesday. I shouldn't have said anything. I was like, yeah, now I'm starting to get the vibe. Maybe the Texas game will be at night. Obviously, it's not going to be on Sunday. Texas somehow had power over that. They said, no, we have to go to church. We can't have the game on Sunday. Yeah, that's why, right? Sure. But Fox still could have put it at night on Saturday. I thought maybe, it was starting to move in that direction. There was momentum in that direction. No, momentum halted yesterday. It became official. Ohio State, Texas at noon. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that's going to be the end result here. I think Fox is trying to be a little bit slick, because I think Fox really wants this game to be at noon, and they kind of try to make it seem like it was Texas' fault that this game is not a night game. Even though they gave Ohio State the permission to try to see if Texas was willing to move it. But that's on Fox. And then Ross Bjork spoke with the Columbus Dispatch yesterday, and I thought it was fascinating that he acknowledged as well that Ohio State is being burdened with carrying Big Noon and Fox. When an athletic director comes out and says, hey, we're the ones having to carry Big Noon ratings here. And you tweeted out, Dave, there's going to be some tough conversations come that next TV deal. Like Ohio State will really need to flex their muscles. And then one thing he also said that's frustrating is there's not a lot of flexibility with this contract. A lot of people were excited about this Fox, CBS, and NBC type of deal, but Ross Bjork said there's not any flexibility, and that's the frustrating part. He said that Ohio State's going to continue to try to chip away at that to try to gain a little bit more power here. But it sounds like and it looks like that Fox has everybody tied up in this deal to where they control all the power. I mean, you look at the CBS matchup that they announced, absolutely dog water games that they're being saddled with. I mean, I appreciate how much money the Big Ten is making, but if I'm honest, Dave, I would much rather in that 3:30 slot with CBS watch an Alabama versus Texas than a USC versus Purdue that CBS is being straddled with. Like those type of good games in the mid-afternoon window, that's prime time gold slot. And Fox will not give CBS any type of leadway with having some of those marquee games because they're gobbling everything up. I mean, you look at Penn State, USC, or Penn State versus Oregon. That's been announced as a whiteout, which now pretty much guarantees Penn State at Ohio State. Another top 5 matchup is going to be on Fox Big Noon. Like that's the way it's going to be. I mean, Ohio State's going to have 2 top 5 matchups at home, and they're all going to be at noon.
Yep. Well, yeah, I thought you were talking about I was going to say, I forgot Michigan's on the road this year. It's like, let's hope the Michigan game's not top 5. I forgot that's on the road. You're talking about Penn State, obviously, is the other one.
Penn State.
Texas and Penn State. Yep.
Texas
all right, my man.
Penn State. Hey, my Bobcats, we got a night game, though.
There you go. I know. The in-state rivalry is a night game. Like, what are we complaining about?
That game has no business being at 7 o'clock on Peacock. Like that should be your traditional noon game right there. Like get that game over with. The boys can get back to Court Street down in Athens and go party after the game and say, hey, we just got our butts whooped by Ohio State. But man, you know what? It was freaking awesome playing in that stadium.
The defending MAC champions coming up here. I love it. All right, man. I appreciate it. Enjoy San Diego. And thank you very much. He is Jonah Booker. Thank you, sir.
All right. Talk to you later, Dave.
All right. J-Book is the man. Really appreciate him. How about him doing it from San Diego? Not surprised. He's done it from Vegas. He's done it from San Diego before. Many times he's been on beach vacations. He's done the show. He is the man. Yes, I want to talk more about what J-Book said about what I tweeted yesterday about the Texas situation, and not really just Texas. I don't fault them. It's not their fault. We were perfectly cool with Ohio State, Penn State not being a road game or a night game last year, right? So, but it's just ridiculous. It's just bad for the sport. But I'll get to that in a moment. What I think Ohio State needs to do when the next contract is up for negotiation. Before we do that, I'll let you guys know about cornbread hemp and a great deal you guys can get. I'm telling you a lot about the gummies, and I'm going to tell you about that here in a second. But they also have these THC seltzers that are fantastic. So, and they have all kinds of different flavors. This is the raspberry limeade. So, I mean, tell you what, they got a lot of stuff going on there blowing up. And you guys really like cornbread hemp because they tell us that you guys keep buying the product. So that's great. We like that you support our sponsors. It is time to experience your healthy happy hour. Cornbread hemp provides a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. Same is true for their seltzers. These are America's only USDA-approved organic THC gummies and seltzers. Real THC, no synthetics, 100% legal hemp, fast and free shipping. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try. I know many of you already have. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that it's 100% legal. Same deal with their seltzers. As a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. ohiostateovertime.com/Bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. All right, so here's the thing. Ohio State is the cash cow of the Big Ten, as we all know. And for them to be taking these bullets is just, to say it's not fair is trite. I mean, life's not fair. I get that. But, like, seriously. But there's nothing can be done now. The contract is the contract. Everybody in the Big Ten's making a ton of money. But next time, so there's really nothing Ohio State can do. Like, Ross Bjork can't really do anything. His hands are tied. He wasn't even here when this contract was signed, so it's not like he had anything to do with it. But I think when the next negotiations come up, Ohio State needs to throw their weight around. They need to. They say, first of all, Ohio State should have a larger piece of the pie, especially if they're playing far more of these big games at noon than anybody else. Okay? I mean, it's no secret Ohio State has the best ratings in the Big Ten. There's some programs that have awesome ratings. I mean, as much as we don't like to admit it, Michigan gets good ratings. Not as good as Ohio State's. Penn State is another one that moves the meter. I mean, there's others. I mean, I've heard, I would have to look this up. I've heard national writers say that Nebraska still is a national brand and still gets decent ratings. I would need to see that to believe it. But no, I mean, even Nebraska with, their history, I'm sure Oregon moves the meter. So, but nobody moves the meter like Ohio State. So if I'm Ross Bjork, and if, Ohio State's President Carter, when if he's still around, I imagine he's not going to retire in the next 5 years. He could. Hopefully he does. I really like him being the university president, and I think him and Ross really work well together. He's the one that spearheaded the idea to hire Ross. Everybody thought they were going to hire Pat Chun, who used to be at Ohio State, but they went with Ross Bjork. And I think Ross is kind of perfect for this new age of college football with NIL. He's a fundraiser. He gets it. But I think they need to throw their weight around. They need to, President Carter and Ross Bjork need to say, okay, listen, if we're going to be playing all these noon games, like against Texas, Michigan, name it, Penn State, then we need a bigger piece of the pie. Or if you're not going to give us a bigger piece of the pie, it needs to be written in the contract that we only are going to play X amount of noon games per year, maximum, whatever that number is. Keep in mind, Florida State and Clemson negotiated, even though the contract was signed, they negotiated a bigger piece of the pie because they were threatening on leaving the ACC. You're telling me Clemson and Florida State can do that in the ACC, but Ohio State couldn't do that in the Big Ten? And people are going to say, well, the Big Ten likes to keep everything equal. They have so far, but we've seen sea change after sea change in college football. This is going to be another thing that needs to change, in my opinion. Ohio State, and if they're going to have an equal share as Purdue and UCLA or you name it, then it needs to be equal across the board about who gets night games, who gets noon games, who gets 3:30 games. It can't just be like everybody gets the same, amount, but it's Ohio State that we lean on to really move the meter. That's BS. But there's nothing to be done about it right now. The contract is the contract. But when the next contract is up in 2030, throw your freaking weight around. Easy for me to say. And don't feel bashful about doing it. It's frankly ridiculous Ohio State doesn't already have a bigger piece of the pie, in my opinion. And it would be even more ridiculous after what we've seen transpire these last couple of years and going into this year with Ohio State being forced to play all these noon games. And you guys know, selfishly, I like noon games. I wish the Texas game was a night game, but, for doing what I do for a living, I actually like noon games. Get up, game, cover the game, get done working at a reasonable hour, get home, see the night games, maybe even see the end of the 3:30 games. I like noon games, but this should not be a noon game. Okay, it's ridiculous. Ohio State and Texas is a noon game, and we saw it 20 years ago when Texas came here, and that was an electric atmosphere. It was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen at Ohio State. It would have been the exact same way this year, maybe better with the show they put on against Tennessee. With the drone show, which was so freaking cool, and all the stuff they did for the Tennessee game that they can't do for day games. And it's probably going to be like 100 degrees. I think last year it was like 98, 99 degrees on August 30th, around there. So, and I've been to games where I remember the opener in the year 2000, John Cooper's last year, and they played Fresno State in the opener, future number 1 overall pick David Carr at quarterback for Fresno State. People were passing out in the stands. It was like 100 degrees. Felt like it was way hotter than that with Ohio humidity. And that's what happens when you have these games early in the season at the Horseshoe. It's going to be really hot. So let's hope it's not sweltering hot, but chances are very, very good it will be. So for a multitude of reasons, this game should not be played at noon, but Fox is screwing it up and putting it at noon. All right. I'll get off my soapbox now. Thanks to J Book. Really appreciate J Book hopping on. As always, I appreciate him doing it, especially when he's on vacation, on a family vacay. He's hopping on early in the morning. I mean, it was 7 a.m. for him hopping on. So appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you, live audience. Love the chat, the live chat. Vibrant as usual. I appreciate everybody who's listening to the show. Thank you guys very much. Thanks again to J Book. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Go Bucks. Still basking.